I have the pleasure of sitting here with Mr. George Schultz. He is one of the original At Properties members. Do you even remember, George? What number are you?
I may be about number 30.
Number 30 in the entire company. So I'm going to jump right in. First and foremost, the election is behind us. What's next for real estate?
Well, elections come and go, just like different markets and things like that. Elections are all about feeling, right? So like when we go into elections, we see rates come down. When we come out of elections, it is a place where uncertainty is gone. When there's fear, there's panic, there's paralysis. And that's why we see the real estate market get affected how we do going into elections. It's just the unknown, but the unknown is behind us. We now do have the known. So we should see things settle down and the market should grow from this. Now that we know what's going on. I mean, we saw an odd thing happen, though, after this win. Something I haven't really seen a lot. And that's when we had the stock market explode, but we also had the 10-year bond explode. So we saw in an expectation where we would see interest rates going down, they actually went up a little bit.
Yep.
So that shocked the market a little bit.
Yeah, no, and you had so many interesting points there. First and foremost, I think there is a major need to differentiate between what happens in the stock market and what happens in the real estate market. Our consumers think that there's this tie between the two, and we've seen it where the stock market has tanked after elections. We've seen it like this year where it actually performed very, very well, and we've seen everything in between. But there is no direct correlation between what happens in the real estate market and what happens to our stocks, bonds, the financial markets as well. And I think that's incredibly important. The other thing that you said that I really think that we need to dive in on, and I love that you use the word paralysis. I have said it now. I believe we probably are about the same. This was my 6th election that I've worked through. And I think you're probably right about there too, right?
Yeah.
Over all those years, all those different elections, we've always noticed the same thing. That paralysis happens in the months leading up to the election. Once we have the news, good, bad, whatever it is, that paralysis subsides and we push on and we move on. And that's what we were saying. And actually, I believe we've absolutely seen it, even though it's a slower time of year.
Well, you're so correct. I mean, the fall is traditionally a slower time and going into the holidays, but generally elections are doubly as slow. Mm-hmm. But it's not for what people think. The facts are that the market is good. The facts are that interest rates were coming down. All these things should make real estate move faster, but it's that fear that keeps people from moving forward. And like you said, I'm just glad it's over. Because now that it is, people are starting to come back out. They're starting to realize, hey, I got to move.
Yep.
I mean, the bottom line is if you need to move, you need to move. The old adage is don't try to time the market, right? Everybody wants to time the market.
Of course.
But what are you seeing with your clients that when you're talking?
No, for certain. I think everything is spot on. And as we look towards the next year, right? For me, the biggest thing about the election, regardless of what you think of the results, and right, we all have our opinions about them. I think the most important thing is that it is behind us. And the reality is our Chicago real estate market will actually do well just because it's behind us, just because we no longer have to live in the fear or the question. It's the consumer question of how will the results impact it. That's behind us. We're going to push on. And I think all of us are looking very optimistically to what 2025 has to hold for us.
Super excited about 25. Now that we are through that, I mean, there are some policy issues that come to question, right? So inflation is what everybody worries about. And so you look at certain policies that the new president will come in with, something that's good for us, that hopefully the SALT deduction gets changed. Sure. That will have a big impact on our real estate and any major city's real estate, especially in the luxury market, because we saw what happened when that got capped at 10,000.
Yep.
The other thing is there's this fear of tariffs, and tariffs could drive up prices and keep inflation high. Therefore, rates won't come down as fast. But the bottom line is rates will come down. They are artificially high right now. Inflation seems to be under control.
Yep.
And when we see that, it's going to drive movement. And what excites me is that this pent-up demand that's still there represents not only demand for homes, but it also will give us inventory, because a lot of that pent-up demand is people that have chosen to stay in their home for a low interest rate.